Fame goes hand in hand with scandals, gossip, and affairs. The Fab Four members had a fair share of scandals during the peak of their careers. One of the ongoing rumors during their time was the close relationship that Lennon developed with the band's manager, Brian Epstein. Yoko Ono once said that Lennon had a desire to sleep with men, and Brian was already a homosexual. When both the boys took a trip together, the rumors about their intense relationship were all over. What connection did Lennon have with Epstein? Were the two of them in an intimate relationship with each other? Or were all the rumors pointless? We're going to find out all the answers in today's video. But before we start, subscribe to my channel, Yellow Submarine below, and press the bell icon to get notifications of all my uploads. Thank you. Brian Epstein. So for those of you who don't know, Brian Epstein was the first manager of the Beatles. The Beatles were formed in 1960 by John Lennon and Paul McCartney, but their rise to success didn't start until 1961, when Epstein discovered the band. Epstein had no previous experience managing bands, and the Beatles were his first. Epstein made many changes to the Beatles, which proved his talent and dedication as their manager. He pushed the Beatles to adopt their original clean-cut style of dress and sign them to their first record deal. By 1964, he led the Beatles to international stardom. He organized international tours for the band and booked venues like football stadiums where rock bands were not allowed to perform. Due to his close connection with the band, he was also called the Fifth Beatle. But during his life, there was a time when he felt abandoned by the band members. Epstein was left out when each Beatle member was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and knighted in Britain. He ended up being alone, away from the people he used to call friends, and took refuge in drugs. He steadily lost control, succumbing to an overdose combination of sedatives and alcohol. In 1967, Epstein passed away at the age of 32. After his death, the Beatles lost direction for a short while. Without a manager who regulated their conflicting energies and who would control their powerful creative forces, they all started to fall apart. Finally, in 1970, the Fab Four agreed they could no longer coexist and the band split. The affair between Brian and Lennon. On April 28, 1963, Paul McCartney, George Harrison, and Ringo Starr jetted off on holiday to Santa Cruz, Tenerife for a 12-day getaway. One member of the band was missing. At the same time, a major rumor of a scandalous affair sparked. John Lennon accepted an offer from Brian Epstein to travel with him to Barcelona. John's wife Cynthia had just given birth to their son Julian, but the star chose to leave his family and go with his friend, picking up boys. The Beatle himself admitted he was a bastard for doing it. Once the Cavern Club DJ Bob Wooler asked John about him and Brian, the next thing that happened was Lennon beating the shit out of him, hitting him with a big stick. Wooler suffered a black eye and bruised ribs, and it could have been worse. "I can kill this guy," Lennon said later. Within a few days, the story was among the Beatles' first national press. In the pages of the British tabloid, the Daily Mirror. "I don't know why he did it. I was booted in the face. I begged him to stop," Wooler reportedly told the Mirror. Lennon was surely known for being fierce and beating people, but he wasn't usually this violent. The questions regarding what happened during his time with Brian really triggered something in him. What happened in Spain is mostly a mystery. Now, because Lennon and Epstein are dead, we can never discover the whole truth. Lennon remembered seeing Epstein picking up boys. "It was my first experience with a homosexual that I was conscious was a homosexual. We used to sit in a cafe in Torremolinos looking at all the boys, and I'd say, 'Do you like this one? Do you like that one?' I was rather enjoying the experience, thinking like a writer all the time. I am experiencing this. It was almost a love affair, but not quite," John explained. It was not consummated, but it was a pretty intense relationship. Lennon also stood by this story in a 1971 interview with Jan Wenner of Rolling Stone. He liked playing a bit blank. Lennon also said, "We didn't have an affair though." McCartney also remembered Lennon denying it. When Lennon was asked whether he had a homosexual experience, he said, "No, I haven't met a fellow I fancy enough." Lennon denied any affair with Epstein in his interviews. There were claims that Lennon gave different answers off the record. In his 2006 memoir, The Beatles, Football and Me, official Beatles biographer Hunter Davies wrote that Lennon told him that he did have a one-night stand with Epstein while in Spain. John wasn't a homosexual, but he was daft enough to try anything once, Davies explained. On the other hand, Davies also wrote in his notes that Lennon had a tendency to exaggerate, so he doesn't take this as proof that the affair actually happened. According to Shotton, who was Lennon's childhood friend, Lennon told him that Epstein's advances eventually wore him down, so he let Epstein toss him off. But Shotton says that neither he nor Lennon thought much of this gesture. In his 1983 memoir, Shelton described how Lennon confessed something did happen with Epstein one night. Shelton said Lennon told him, "What happened is that Epi just kept on and on at me, until one night I finally just pulled my trousers down." Shelton says Lennon offered Epstein sex, but the other man apparently wanted to touch him, and they engaged in a minor sexual act. McCartney also had a theory why John decided to go with Epstein in the first place. According to him, John was a smart cookie, Brian was gay, and John saw his opportunity to impress upon Mr. Epstein, who was the boss of the group. I think that's when he went on holiday with Brian. He was that kind of guy. He wanted Brian to know whom he should listen to. Many people think Lennon was actually inspired to write the song Hide Your Love Away about Epstein's life. There were only a few moments when the band stood up for the social injustices they saw in the world. During their time, being a homosexual was considered something of an illegal act, and it is said You've Got to Hide Your Love Away was the track that was written in defense of the band's manager, Brian Epstein's sexuality. The song made John Lennon connect truly with the pop music poet he would become later. There was a movie adaptation, The Hours and Times, about what may have happened between the two. It should be kept in mind that the film was generally fictional. At the beginning of the movie, a caption shows, reading, "Though partly based on the events of the lives of Brian Epstein and John Lennon, the following film is entirely fictitious. The producers make no representation that any such events, as are depicted in the film, ever occurred. John denied that an affair occurred, and Brian never spoke about it." There were many different speculations about what happened between John Lennon and Brian Epstein in Spain, but we cannot say anything for sure because both of the guys are dead. Have you guys heard any rumors or statements about Lennon's close relationship with Epstein? Tell us in the comment section below. Also, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, then please subscribe now. And don't forget to share this video with your Beatle-loving friends. I will see you guys with another video. See you all soon.